kids come into free camp, not all of them come from the best homes. They come from very unstable homes. And so I find that it's very important to treat the kids like they are the number one people there, always putting them first, letting them go first in line to eat, letting them shower first, and just always putting them above you just to make them feel special, because a lot of those kids don't really get that at home. Sometimes they get pushed aside by their parents or by other family members. So yes, I do feel that it's very important to make the kids feel like they're the number one kids at that camp. One of the free camps we did in Oklahoma City really is one that really sticks out to me. Being a team leader is very challenging at times, but very rewarding. You'll have kids that test you and push your buttons, but the group leader is the one always responsible for making sure that the kids see how much they're really loved by us and by God. And so you will be pushed at times, and you will be challenged. There are always those kids that want to do something on purpose just to see how you're going to react to them. And so as a group leader, it's very important to train even the team assistants that are helping as to how you're going to react when that kind of stuff happens, or when the kids get in a little argument with another kid, and always, when you're talking back to them, always doing it as polite as you can, and always giving them like reasons to why that's not okay, instead of just yelling or saying, hey, go sit down. And so there was a kid that did that same thing, and he pushed me to the limit and cussed at me so many times and got in so many fights. But as a group leader, it was always very important to keep myself calm and the other kids in the group, and just be the best leader that I could be, to show him that, hey, you know what, even though you're acting this way, everyone at this camp still loves you, and we're still going to treat you like you're the number one kid here. And then just from that, giving them that attention and letting them know, hey, we really care about you, and we don't think, like, we're not just going to push you aside. And that really brings them closer, and just letting them know, like, hey, I can really start enjoying this camp and just get some friends. One of the free camps we did in Oklahoma City, a little boy named KJ was placed with me, and he was the one that was constantly wanting to get in fights, and he was always just cussing at me and calling me names. And I just, as a group leader, we're taught to always give that love back to the kids. And so every time that he would break out in an argument, or he would say he didn't want to be here, or he hated me, or he would call me all these names, I would just say, you know what, KJ, I love you, and I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad you're in my group. And every time, though, he would just keep coming back. Miss, don't say that. You don't love me. You don't want me here. And every time I'd say, KJ, you know what? I love you, and I'm so glad you're in my group. And it didn't work for a long time, and he just kept coming back with it, and he would just continue to cuss at me, and he would continue to cuss at the other kids. And every time I'd reassure him, like, KJ, I love you, and I'm so glad you're in my group. And the last day at that camp, he came up to me when he was going to get on the bus, and he just looked at me and he said, you know what, Shanna, I love you too, and I'm glad I was in your group. And so that's just one example of how just showing the love back to a kid that's not used to it, kids that are used to being cussed at or being pushed aside, and just reassuring to them every single time that we really care about them, and we're so glad that they chose to come to this camp, and that really just does something different for them, and that really just opens their eyes to what love really is. Free camp has many impacts on me as a leader. It challenges me in ways that I never thought that I could be challenged. It challenges me to get out of my comfort zone, whether we're doing cadences or whether I am just praying with a kid about a specific thing. It really challenges me and impacts me and makes me see when I get to hear the kids' stories of where they come from, and then I get to watch as the weeks go by what they let God do in their lives. And that really impacts me and challenges me to want to get out and do more, or want to really help these kids even more, because we see how big of an influence that these camps have on them. If I was helping someone who wanted to be a group leader, I think one of the first things I would tell them was a thing that we learned at one of our team building things, and that's that it's not about you. It's not about the adults there. Some people think that being a group leader means they get to be in charge and they get to boss the kids around or tell the assistants what to do, and really it's the exact opposite of that. Being a team leader means that you're willing to go last at everything. you're willing to not do as much stuff because you always want to put those kids first. And I would say that being a team leader really means a lot of sacrifice. It means sacrificing sleep sometimes to make sure all your kids are all the kids are staying up there and not waking up in the middle of the night wandering off somewhere. Sometimes it means sacrificing food for a couple hours because you want to make sure all your kids are together and eating, and you want to make sure that the other kids, not just in your group, are taken care of first, because you want them to see that we're putting them above everyone else here and that we think they're more important than we are. So there are two different types of camps that you can have. One is if you don't set that right tone, if you don't start off doing things the right way, and that's like if your kids are coming in and you're just kind of sitting over there talking to your friends, and then you go out and you're doing these activities, but really your friends are more important and you're always leaving the group, and you don't want to sit with the kids during lunch and they're too noisy and you just don't really want to be there, or you don't get into the cadence and because you think you're cool and you don't want to get up there, you don't want to yell, you don't want to do the silly dance moves that the kids want to do, or say the stuff that doesn't really make sense that they want to say, so you just kind of sit there. Well, that just tells the kids, like, you don't really care about them, you don't want to be there, so that's all they're going to do. They're going to sit there and they're not going to have a good time. And by them not really having that good time, they're not really going to get into the services, so they're not going to get experience the love of Jesus and the heart behind free camp, all because a team leader or assistants are just sitting there not really putting in that extra effort to show the kids how much we care. Another type of free camp that you would have is the amazing kind that everyone should always experience, and that is from the moment that those kids get there, learning their names, calling them by their names is such a big thing to them. Just when they get there, asking them, sitting around in a group saying, you know what, tell me your favorite color. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What is the craziest thing you've done? And just really getting involved in the kids' life and making them realize, like, hey, I want to know about you. And then when it comes to the cadences, get involved in it. Let them see you act crazy, because then they're going to do it. Being a team leader is being a role model. It's stepping up there and saying, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to act crazy and we're going to have fun. And then they're going to do that because they want to be like you. They want to look up to someone that's older than them. And by doing that, you have the most amazing free camps. Those are the ones where you get to go up and they come to you and they say, hey, can you pray for me? I want to ask Jesus into my heart. And that's because they want the love. They want to feel that love all the time that you've just showed them in those couple of days, because you've really taken the time to know them and you've taken the time to show them, hey, you know what? I really love you. I really care about you. And they want that when they go home, because not all those kids have that. They don't have that stability and they don't get shown that love all the time. So being in that atmosphere and being in that part of it, that really just makes them connect, and they just really want that.